Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another Inside the Scope edition, and I will be covering Memphis hip hop. Now, this is something that I can relate to a lot because, like I said, growing up in Memphis, growing up listening to the hip hop scene, even the underground scene starting off, listening to the radio, whether you have, Devin Steele or the world famous Kylan, Hot 97, and the such. For a long time, we had like two radio stations. And then I believe when I left in 2011, there were like three radio stations. So, um, yeah, this Memphis hip hop scene is very spans, decades. A lot of artists that didn't make it to the mainstream, but a lot of artists that recently have. And recently, Memphis hip hop has controlled the rap scene, and I believe we're overtaking the Atlanta rap right now. So, and it might be by a small margin, but with the artists that Memphis has put out over the last 5 years or so, it's been a changing of the guards, I do believe. I know it's going to be a controversial statement, but um, Memphis has done a lot in that last 5 years and in its history. And I'll go through some key artists that I feel contributed a lot to Memphis hip hop and some artists that, didn't get over the hump, but were very pivotal as well. So if you're going to talk about Memphis hip hop, the first thing you have to talk about is Player Fly. Player Fly. Now, Nobody Needs Nobody was a Memphis hip hop anthem for decades. It might be still the best Memphis song to ever come out hip hop wise. Now, this song you can't really find it. You can't find it on Apple Music. Only place I can really find it on is on YouTube and like SoundClick. Because like I said, he was one of those artists that didn't get over the hump, but he created, in my opinion, the best song in Memphis history. Now, I'll probably have to go back and put a survey up of the greatest Memphis songs ever, which probably only select people will be involved in because, like I said, it's not a big scene. It's not commercial. It's not like New York. But to me, Nobody Needs Nobody is one of the greatest Memphis songs of all time. There's really no song that could be compared to it. Now, if you want to say another album is better, then you could say that. But as far as song, that's one of the best songs ever to come out of Memphis. Early, you listen to Memphis hip hop. Of course, there was 8 Ball and MJG. The Coming Out Hard album, Pause, was very good. They always put out these anthems. They had this player flow, which is the embodiment of Memphis rap. Is the player era, the pimping, things like that. So they kind of like were trendsetters in a way that they were one of the few artists to put out that quality in Memphis, I want to say, to work with all these different producers and things like that. And eventually they signed to Bad Boy Records and things like that. But for the most part, they were underground legends. They had that one album, well, maybe two albums that were popular, but they do have a lot of classic hits that still resonate around the world to hip hop fans, whether it be New York, LA, Texas, mostly in the South, but 8 Ball and MJG always put out great quality of music, and they still, if they came out today, I'm pretty sure they will still do the same. But when you think about like artists like Gangsta Black, which I didn't listen to a lot, I know my brother had a few of the albums. Then you get into your 3-6 Mafia bag. So you get into the Frazier Boy, the Lil Whites, the DJ Paul, Juicy J, Coops Danica, Lord Infamous, Gangsta Boo, Project Pat, Lil Chat, all those artists. So not only were they influential in music, but in movies as well. So with the Choices movie they put out, which had an amazing soundtrack for the Choices, and then they put out Choices 2 as well. Hustle and Flow, that contributed songs to that, and they won Oscars off of that, and a Grammy too, I believe. But that put Memphis on the map as far as music goes. We were never that mainstream in Memphis, but that put Memphis on the map as far as hip hop goes, and even just in pop world, just being able to write those songs for Hustle and Flow and get that worldwide recognition from it. And then also, Project Pat was a part of that camp. Now, Project Pat, I think, is the best rapper to come out of Memphis. Most people can say probably a Young Dolph or Yo Gotti, but I don't think like Project Pat was underground, but from a rapping standpoint, he wasn't lyrical per se. but he made things make sense and put it in your terms to make it make sense. And then he had these legendary skits. One of the lost elements or lost parts of hip hop I always talk about, being able to have skits and funny skits at that. That Passed Me a Beer Man on all the skits was still one of my favorite ones. So uh, you can't rule out what 3 6 Mafia meant to Memphis hip hop, and also the production of Juicy J just to put hits on other people. Whether you have a Meg The Stallion or you have other artists like that. He just worked with Justin Timberlake. The album he did with Justin Timberlake, Future Sex Love Sounds. That album, he did some production on there. It was pretty crazy production to switch from R&B and rap and just being able to switch flows and switch personalities but like I said, without compromising his art at the same time. It's still the fast, you know, uh, the hi-hats moving fast, the drums, all that stuff was still there. And he wasn't able to change it. I mean, he was able to stay the same. Now, when you talk about Yo Gotti, I listen to Yo Gotti a lot on the radio before you can find his song on any internet site or any, well, we didn't have apps back then per se, but to find his music, before you could find his music on mainstream, I used to listen to it on the radio and have to record it from a cassette tape, things like that. But once he got famous, which when he signed the Cash Money deal with Birdman, that's just when he started to take off. Now, post that, he created CMG, Collective Music Group, and he gave us Black Youngster, Glorilla, Moneybag Yo. That's just the artists in Memphis. He bring you other artists as well, whether it be a 4-2 Doug and people in Mozzie and people like that, but they're from other areas, so I didn't include them in this. But Yo Gotti was very pivotal in putting other artists on from Memphis and other areas as well. Just being that businessman, he was hanging around Jay-Z for a while, so he probably peeped some game from him about putting other artists on and things like that. So Yo Gotti had a huge influence in Memphis, being able to put Memphis on the map as well with the momentum that 3-6 did. Now, unfortunately, 3-6 and Yo Gotti never had a good relationship, so they never put out music together. And that would be nice to see before they retire or move on to other things. But we probably never get that. Most of these people are towards the 50s now, so we'll probably never get that. But it was nice to see, 3-6 and A-Ball and MJG and Young Buck and all these artists come together on Stay Fly. One of the other great Memphis songs to come out. Now, Kia Sean is another artist coming out of Memphis that really didn't get the recognition. He had that one album that was kind of considered mainstream, but for the most part, he never made it over that hump as far as crossing over to that next level, which a lot of Memphis artists didn't. But nowadays, there are crossing over to that next level, probably because of with the advent of internet and TikTok and viral moments and things like that. They're able to go into that next level. So that brings me to Young Dolph and the PRE movement. So, and then, with Key Glock and all that, like, unfortunately, like I said, Young Dolph died early, but with his charisma and energetic style and the way he rapped and the way he was so lyrical, he was one of the greater lyrical artists to come out of Memphis. Memphis is more about how it sounds as opposed to being lyrical. And Young Dolph was lyrical and he had a high intellect with a big vocabulary as well. If you hear his music, you would probably think he was from Atlanta or something like that. But, coming out of South Memphis, Young Dolph was one of our greats. Like I said, he unfortunately left us too soon, but he is in one of those greats in hip hop history. And now you have an artist like Pooh Shiesty, who, like I said, unfortunately was incarcerated and still incarcerated now, but he had a whole movement with the Shiesty mask. Now everybody, when they wear those masks, they call them the Shiesty mask. And also he had the sounds. He had just the ability to make words sound nice, and the way he said things were different. So hopefully when he gets out, he'll be able to pick up where he left off. It's going to be kind of difficult after years of being incarcerated. But nevertheless, he was. But another artist is like NLE Choppa and Big 30 and Scar. All of these artists came out recently and were contributing to the ascension of Memphis hip hop currently. So those artists play a current key role in hip hop. Lastly, I want to talk about Glorilla, her ability to make Memphis seem different. So when I say that, it's her accent that a lot of us have. Most people seen it as ghetto or something like that, but now people are more approaching it, and they like her style, and they like, her language and the way she talks, because a lot of time they used to make fun of the way we talk, because we talked fast, we talk country, things like that. They're embracing that style more now because of Glorilla and what she was able to do musically, but also from a personality standpoint and just being a character and being someone who people can relate to. So that's my segment on Memphis hip hop. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to like and support the page. And until next time, I'll see you next time.